Welcome everyone, and Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, wherever you are. I think Shireen did a fantastic job in introducing me. I am from Bahrain, just to give you an idea. The other side of me, the non-professional side, married, wonderful 2 kids and a wife. Love traveling, love marketing, love to be the customer advocate in the room. Have worked in several companies, both Fortune 500 as well as regional and local sectors, including FMCGs, airlines, financial services, insurance and banking, obviously, but not in that order. Have lived and worked in several countries, including Bahrain, my home country, Saudi, the UAE, Kuwait now. And prior to that, also, I worked in the UK and Germany. But again, not in that order. Love traveling, as I mentioned earlier, love to learn more about cultures. Whenever I travel, I always try to be not the tourist, try to mingle with the locals and see what they do, because this is something that keeps fascinating me. And as Shireen just mentioned, I mean, the more you travel, and I've been to probably 50 countries or so, but the more you travel, the more you think that you haven't seen anything. I'm a continuous learner. I still learn. And what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to share with you my experience of customer experience, because guess what? A lot of organizations, whether startups or big, organization, I've seen it, even those, the one that I've worked for, not get it right when it comes to the customer. And sometimes you don't deliver what the customer really wants or need. I'll try to give my personal experience over the many years that I've worked in the marketing and customer experience functions, as well as being a customer myself. And we are all customers, and we can always learn, and we can only learn, actually. So I will share the presentation, and inshallah, hopefully, we will take the questions at the end with Shireen. So I'm just gonna share my screen now. Okay, can you all see the screen?
I can, yes, Mohammed.
Okay, good. So these are some stories from the world of customer experience. I would start with a question. Could the customer experience be a matter of life and death? And I'll give you just 2 seconds to think about it. Because if you think it's not, by watching the next clip, you'll change your mind. I will share just a very short video. It's a long one, but I'll just keep it to the next, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So I think, I used a very dramatic example just to show you that customer experience could be anywhere and everywhere. Look, every hospital has an emergency ward or unit, but not every emergency room or ward in the hospital have a trauma unit. And this is an example that I picked up from Singapore, from one of the hospitals in Singapore, where they noticed that the mortality rate was very high due to poor coordination. So basically, the doctor who has the loudest voice goes first, which is not necessarily, the most required specialization to operate on an emergency case. Is it worth it? you heard the doctor said, yes, it means, a life would be saved. And the trauma doctor acts like the conductor at the orchestra. And you've heard them talking about the golden hour, and the golden hour starts when the accident happened, because this is where they can save or the difference between life and death, not when the patient arrives to the hospital. And listening to the paramedics, basically those who are the first responders, what they have seen is very important and crucial in deciding what needs to be done. In 4 years, the mortality rate has halved in that particular hospital, and that was in 2017. And now, in 2017, it went to below 5%, which is a great achievement. And just to let you know, back, I said that this clip is from 2017. There were less than 10 doctors or trauma doctors in Singapore. So it is something that you wish that all hospitals and all emergency wards have it. So yes, they studied the process, and they found out, okay, they can do things better. And this is what the essence of a customer experience is always continuous improvement. There are many definitions of what a customer experience is all about. However, I picked up, the simplest and I think the most straightforward, for all of you. According to Forrester, the global research group, is basically customer experience defined as how customers perceive their interactions with your company. Yeah. I'll give you an example. This is something that I've gone through a couple of months ago, and when I decided to pick up, running as something that I need to do, since I need to pick up some sort of physical activity, especially with the pandemic. Your activity is very much limited. So I said, okay, let me buy, a new, running shoe. And I actually, coincidentally, I was watching also the head of digital of Adidas, and he was talking about, he was asking the question, how many customer touch points, basically how many times you touch the customer, when deciding to buy an athletic shoes online. I'll just give you, 2 seconds to think about the answer. $10, $15, $3, $5, $100. It's actually between 60 to 300 touch points as per Google. Can you imagine you're buying, a shoe? You're not buying, something, you're not buying a house or something which is high, involving category, like an investment or something, where you spend a lot of money. It's just a shoe. So there are 60 to 300 touch points as per Google. Now I went, and did some, finding some information about, which type of shoe to buy, and then when you start to Google, and then from one search to the other leads you to the other, I found out that 45% of the world's population have misaligned feet, and most of the shoe brands, without mentioning names, are basically using a standard standard form of shoes that is basically available for everyone. It does not address this issue of the misaligned feet. And guess what? I found out that, and these are my feet, by the way, I have misaligned feet like the 45% of the rest of the population. And there is one particular brand that basically manufactures different types of shoes, athletic shoes, that suits every profile of your foot. And actually, the shoe that fit me the best was this one, and that's hence the picture. So there are a lot of touch points And something to ponder, you know, if a shoe has between 60 to 300 touch points, imagine if you are buying a house or giving a financial service or anything that you might think of. You know, and also the issue is that the customer journey is not linear or it's not defined. It could start, you know, the customer could start from any point of, of the journey. For instance, if I am, you know, if we pick up the shoe example, if I am, an avid athlete and I run marathons, my journey would be different than somebody who did not even have anything to do with sports. So the journey is not necessarily the same for everyone. No. So again, if we pick up the shoe example, 600 touch points, or sorry, 300 touch points, should you be in all of them? The answer is no, you cannot. You have to pick up the points, the touch points that are, meaningful for the customer and you to engage with. And as we mentioned, they just mentioned that, different customer had different expectations depending on which part of the journey they are at. The bottom line is to be visible at every moment that matters for you and for the customer. And why we are talking today about customer experience? Why is it so important? 86% of consumers would pay more for a better experience, and in some cases, more, up to 20, maybe more % of the, of the price that you charge. So it makes sense to look at customer experience in a different light altogether. Is there a financial return for a great customer experience? Of course, the answer is yes. And we have the data to prove it. This is basically, I want to, take your attention onto a point where this is the customer experience index, how happy your customers. And this is the average lifetime value, basically how much this customer will give you during his or her life. So the more they are happy with you, the more the return. But look at this, at 70% satisfaction, they will give you 1,000 euros or dollars or dinars or dirham, whatever your currency is. But imagine when you take this 70%, if you increase it by 30%, let's say you have 100% satisfaction, which is a hypothetical situation because you cannot, nobody reaches 100%. But let's say we reach 100. So increasing 30 percentage points take you in terms of value from 1,000 to guess what? Close to 2,000. It doubles by increasing 30 percentage points. The graph is basically exponential. It's not linear. It's not a straight line. So that's why, we should always strive to be in this area. Because guess what? In this area, you don't make much money. And here, probably you would lose money because your cost would be higher than this. Coca-Cola, whether, you agree or disagree, it's a good, beverage or not, health issues, sugar, etc. But anyways, fact of life, it is there. It is one of the strongest brands. And the first job in my career was with Coca-Cola. And the first week we were onboarded, as all staff, irrespective of which function or department you work for at the company, they take you on an onboarding course. And the onboarding course taught me a few things. One, and this is, long time ago, the first thing that they taught us is that the average lifetime value of the customer that brings to Coca-Cola in the US was $42,000. Imagine $42,000 from a simple soft drink. If they drink it for the rest of their life, the average value that they bring to the brand is 42,000. That's why every customer, and this is something that I've learned from Coca-Cola, every customer is important. You might think, oh, it's just a drink, but for Coca-Cola, it's more than that. It brings $42,000 each year. during the lifetime of that customer, each customer in the US. How should you treat now customer experience? Do you treat it as a cost or an investment? This is another personal example of me, and for those who don't know, this is the Ritz-Carlton in Barcelona, one of the nicest cities and nicest hotels in the world and nicest beaches. And the reason I've put this example, because back in the day when I used to work, me and Shireen, we were working in city, customer experience was, or customer excellence at the time, we called it, was very high on the agenda. I'm talking probably 10 years ago. And Citi, the bank, brought an ex-general manager of Ritz-Carlton, because Ritz-Carlton was one of the best in terms of customer service and customer experience, to teach us bankers how basically to treat the customer in a different way and bring the best experience for them, basically to bank with us more. So fast forward, a couple of years later, I actually was taking a holiday with my family in Barcelona, and I thought, you know what, let me book at the Ritz-Carlton and go through, that experience myself. So we arrived, I think in the afternoon. We checked in, normal. Everybody was, courteous, to us, and we went to our room. And then in the morning, when we woke up and went to breakfast with the kids, from the moment I stepped out of the room, those housekeeping people that basically clean your room, they were calling me, good morning, Mr. AlTajer. And I thought, how did they know my name? Maybe it's by accident. Same thing when I reached to the elevators, when I was walking in the lobby, at the restaurant, everybody was greeting me by my last name. And I was really fascinated. I couldn't, honestly, I had my breakfast, and straight away after that, I went to the, guest relations and asked them, how on earth you guys know my name? All of the people I meet in the lobby and in the restaurant and on the floor, they mentioned my name. And they told me, sir, when you checked in, we took a copy of your passport, and we took a scan of your photo from the passport and your name. And we circulated those to the team that you will meet, normally your housekeeping team, room service, as well as the restaurant and the lobby. And that was maybe 10 years ago. This is, it says a lot about, that experience and that hotel. Not many. I mean, I've stayed in many places, many hotels, but not probably this is the only hotel that I have been greeted by so many people working in the hotel with the same, by name. Steve Jobs said, you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards, toward the technology, not the other way around. And this is very important, because a lot of people think of the technology and then how do we sell it? How do we market it to, to people or customers? And this is something that is, I think, according to Steve Jobs, is working backwards. This is not the way you should be doing it. You should start with the customer experience and work the technology backwards. Again, a personal example and a personal favorite, I've put it, intentionally, because we all want to travel back and, board those planes, nice, shiny, and go to the next place where you really unwind and enjoy yourself. So I was traveling on business a few years back on Emirates, and it was a long haul flight. And when they bring you, your drink, and I asked for, I think, an apple juice or something. So when the air hostess was bringing me the juice, we hit the turbulent, and guess what? The juice spilled on my pants, on my trousers. And she was very apologetic. And thank God I ordered juice, not coffee or tea. That would have been a different story. She actually apologized, and I just asked her, just give me a wet towel so that I can, clean it. She went, and then, a few minutes later, the cabin director came to me to apologize and, asking me if they can do anything for me. And I told them, no, it's okay, don't take it to, to another level. Just it's okay. And then, you can imagine I got, extra food, extra, peanuts, whatever I wanted, it was like I treated like a king. Towards the end of the flight, the same air hostess came with that slip that you can see on your right. And it was a laundry voucher for me to take my pants or trousers and clean them at any laundry free of charge, courtesy of Emirates. Would you think that was done by accident, or somebody has mapped out the process and the journey for Emirates? And and they said, for sure, some of the food or the drinks will spill on customers, and it will cause inconvenience, especially if they are going for a meeting or something straight after the flight. And we need to do something about it, apart from cleaning and whatever and being nice and courteous. No, we need to clean it and give them a voucher to clean. And this is something that has been mapped and shared, and it's a practice, like the same example I gave earlier with the Ritz-Carlton. Pretty nice. And although in the airline, I also worked in the airline industry for a brief period of time. They call this act as a service recovery. So there was a breakdown of the service, and now they are recovering the service. So they are turning a bad experience into a positive experience, which I'm basically using right now to give you a best in class example from close to home, which is Emirates Airlines. A lot of people have seen that, whenever they start a business, the first thing that they hire is basically, if they are a founder, a co-founder, they will hire, somebody like in the finance side, probably function, a CFO, or, and probably somebody in operations, somebody in technology. I rarely see that they hire the customer experience or the marketing guy up front. And by doing so, you're missing a lot, and you're putting yourself in a lot of hopefully you'll get out of it, but a lot of trouble, because nobody thought how to basically address the most important aspect of all the business, which is the customer. You are in the business because of the customer. It's not the other way around. Yeah. So my advice, always bring the customer experience expert, or the marketing expert early on, so that you iron out any issues with the process. Seth Godin, one of my favorite speakers, authors in marketing, I think he's the next Philip Kotler. He said, don't find customer for your products, find products for your customers. And this is a very important and insightful message or statement. We always think, let's design the product and let's have the best product and customers will come and buy it. No, it doesn't work out this way, unfortunately. So what do you need to ask? You need to ask yourself, basically, how should people first experience our product? And even before that, you should ask, what are their pain points based on which we design our products or service? How will they buy it? How will they unbox it? How will they be onboarded? And how will they receive the support in case they have some issues with it? What are the series of touch points they will receive along the way? And how are we going to address their concerns? These are some of the questions. I'm saying that this is an exhaustive list of questions. There are many, but some of the things that you should put in your mind when you design your products or services. This is one of my favorites. Are you falling in love with your product? If the answer is yes, then you should think again, because you should fall in love with your customer, not your product. A lot of the companies, you know, if you see the pie chart on the left, these are the organizations. They think that 80% of their customers are happy. If you look on the chart or the pie chart on the right, you see these are the customer voice now. Only 8% of the customers said they are happy with their service or products. There's a lot of gaps, and this is, you know, there is a lot of misalignment between the organization and the customer, where you need to, you know, take action. This is another personal favorite. Although I worked for Citi in the Middle East and based in Dubai, however, before being you know, an employee, I was a customer, and I took a Citibank credit card in the early days when they launched their credit card with Emirates Airlines from Dubai. I was working with a different organization. So it happens to be that during the payment day, I was in Bahrain visiting my family, and because it's a global, you know, bank and a global brand, so I said, okay, no, not a problem. I'll just go to their branch in Bahrain and pay. To my surprise, that I went there, and then when I went to the teller, she told me, no, sir, this is a UAE credit card. We cannot accept any payment for that card, which was a bit strange for me. I thought, you know, the only reason I took this card is because you are a global bank. Wherever I see a Citi logo, a branch, I go there and I should be served. He said, yes, but I said, no, if some buts, you know, this is my perception. And they failed to basically address my issue. And when I came, you know, many years later into Citi, this was one of the problems that not only me was voicing out, it was basically a lot of customers, especially high net worth customers, where later the bank introduced a new product or service called global banking, where if you are of a certain net worth, you will be treated the same way across countries where Citibank is present. So if we talk about the pillars of customer, what are these? You know, basically, and very simplistically, there are three: customer knowledge, customer well-being, and customer profitability. And I'll touch quickly, you know, on each one of them. This is also another marketing guru, Roy Williams, and he said the first step in exceeding your customer expectation is to know those expectations. It sounds like common sense, but as they say, common sense is not so common. So how do you know what the customer wants? Basically, you can get it from various sources, from the voice of the customer, from the Net Promoter Score, from doing research, customer intelligence, customer experience journey mapping, internal branding. There are many tools and many ways to do it and to measure it. And you need to pick up the tools that fits with your strategy and with your customer type and your product and service type. This is another interesting chart that I have. Sometimes the things that you believe is what the customer wants is not what they want. Look at this. Look at these reasons why the customer, asking if you want them to pay more. Loyalty program. If you give them a loyalty program, they will come running to you. User experience, so social responsibility, the design, fun, charity, automation, personalization, human interaction, which is all fine, but the level of importance for the customer experience, look, you want people to give you the 80, 90%, give them an efficient service or product. Give them a convenience, give them convenience, give them a friendly service, give them, a staff that know exactly what they are selling. Easy way to pay. You can give them all of this, but this is what matters for them. Even you have, if you have the best automation solution for your products, but if it does not deliver on these, you'll be here. Look at the satisfaction in the 60s or 70s. You want to be here. So again, you might think of something that this is what the customer wants, but without asking them, without checking with them, without reading, the between the lines what they want, it's difficult. Customer well-being, basically, there is a difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is part of customer experience. So if we talk about the customer well-being, we're talking about the customer care, the customer satisfaction, the service excellence, the customer experience improvement, the how fast you resolve any complaint, the user experience also. This is very important, and sometimes it is ignored. Your staff, how do they experience your service when they deliver that service to the customer or that product to the customer? If they are facing problems, then your customer will eventually face problems. So you need to design the UI experience, the user experience in such a way that you treat it as if he or she was your customer, and they are your customers as well, your internal employees. Customer touch points, you need to identify them, and map them. And the customer effort, you've heard this probably term, if you haven't heard about it, is that if you basically, how effortless is your services accessed or executed? If, for instance, you have a website and you ask, I don't know, 5 or 6 fields to enter your information versus a form of 20 or 30 fields. This is called customer effort. So the less effort for the customer, the better the experience is. And obviously, the customer experience is an ongoing journey that you have to always look at. And as we mentioned in the previous slide, it is a non-linear experience, and also it is something that keeps changing with time, with new technologies, new expectations of people. You have to keep revising, and and I'm sure you've seen it through many applications that there is a lot of updates for especially mobile apps for any types of service, because they keep learning and they keep updating their apps based on the experience. This is just a chart that still there is a long way to go when it comes to what is the level of importance of that service or product and the level of current satisfaction. You can see airlines, this is the expected level of, or this is the level of importance of the service, and this is the level of satisfaction. So there is a gap of 33%. So if an airline can bring this red dot somewhere here or coincide with this black dot, they reached home or touchdown. But look at this: health services, 25%, pharmaceuticals, 22%, and the list goes on. There is a lot of work that we can and we should be doing. Don't think that all the services that you see or hear about are best. Think again. In terms of customer profitability, the customer relationship management is one of the key ways of making sure that you are in touch with your customer. Marketing has evolved now. We're talking about the customer experience more than marketing tactics or tools that we used in the past. We talk about customer advocacy, basically customers talking about your products or services, promoting them to the other customers. This is much more believable. And also branding. We mentioned about the customer lifetime value, the Coca-Cola example, for instance, and the customer life cycle management. Some customers are not ready right now to buy your product or service. You need to find a way to farm them so that when they are at the right time to buy your products or service, they think of you, not your competitor. Customer loyalty, this is a very interesting topic. You know, then the new thinking is that you as a brand should be loyal to the customer, not the other way around. Don't expect the customer to be loyal to your brand. And I think we've seen it in today's world. Less and less customers are loyal to a product. The moment they see, you know, the same thing is being delivered better at you know, at a different place, they will go. So don't bank on that. In fact, it should be you who should be giving your loyalty to them. Customer community, we spoke about, where basically customers help each other if they are happy with your brand or of service or product. References, NPS is a good example where you ask the customer, if you have the opportunity to recommend this service or product to your friends and family, would you do that? The more, the better. Co-innovation, basically asking your customer, but not least customer retention. One other thing that I've been seeing, and this is something also with startups, is that, you know, they are giving too many choices and sometimes too much. That makes the customer confused and let them not take the action or the step into buying any of their products because it's too much. I mean, like this lady, when you ask her to decide which color she wants to paint her room, for instance, all what your customer see is this, and they walk away. I think we're reaching to the end. Remember a few things, you know, words are free, so as attitude. If you are giving a service, whether face-to-face or through an app or chatbot, or, you know, people like to hear, you know, others, especially the service provider, to be courteous to them. And unfortunately, this is not happening a lot. Something as simple as thank you and we are sorry, acknowledging that, you know, you made a mistake, is very important for your customer to forgive you. Unfortunately, a lot of people or service provider hide behind the legalities of not admitting a mistake, which harms their business. And in this world, you know, one unsatisfied customer can go online and, you know, vent their frustrations, and that becomes viral, and it goes to millions, and we have seen it, and you all have seen it. And the second point is reward employees not for upselling or cross-selling, but creating moments for your customer that would last them a memory. We always, and I think, you know, I'm guilty of this as well, where we promote, we give commissions, you know, promotions, whatever you want to call it, rewards for customers for bringing the most revenue to the company. But we rarely ask how did they bring it, or, you know, we're happy with the dollar signs, you know, the cha-ching sound of thing. This is changing. You should listen carefully and respond creatively. There is a lot of learning that happens when you listen to disgruntled customers, because you learn about your process, and they will sometimes give you the answer as well to their problems. I think I mentioned this before, we are all customers and we should think and see and act like them. Sometimes you need to take yourself away from being the business owner or one of the you know, employees of that company, and put yourself in the customer shoes for once, and see, you know, if you are doing a fair job with the customer or not. I've just mentioned that you need to create a moment that will earn you a memory. People love those people who did them well, especially if in bad times. And the question basically that everyone should ask is that, would I return based on the service I received? You might go to the best restaurant in terms of the Michelin star rated restaurants in terms of food, but if the service, excuse my French, sucks, would you go ever again? I don't think so. Lastly, building it does not mean they will come. I take you back to the previous slides where you should basically look at your customer and build products around them, not the other way around. In conclusion, there are 3 things that you should keep in mind. 1, your customer have demands, and sometimes they are not what you think. The second is customers generate revenue while employees drive the experience. And I stress on employees. We forget about them. 3, technology cannot solve experience problems. It is only an enabler. And in the rush of digitalizing everything, we forget about that. People still want a human customer experience. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, I think if there are any questions, we will take them. And I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Mohammed, for the presentation. There were lots of comments coming in, actually, just saying things along the lines of great presentation and chatting about the examples you're giving. And I definitely, you know, obviously, when I speak to startups, just to share as well, always say you need to have product market fit before you even bother opening a bank account or doing these other logistics. So I love the point you made on what comes first, the customer or the product. That's golden quote. All right, great, everyone. So Q&A time. If you have any questions for Mohammed, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box.
And if you don't mind, Shireen, I'll take a picture of us here.
What? Okay.
So can I post it on my LinkedIn?
Go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed, it doesn't seem like any questions are coming through. Maybe let's give everyone else a minute.
Yeah. Come on, guys. It should not be that, you know, perfect. I'm sure you have you see, this is something that I also have been, if you go to my LinkedIn, by the way, if you want to know more about me, go to my LinkedIn account. That's why I didn't speak too much about my, you know, my professional career. I've posted a poll, where do you learn the most from success or failures? And 85% of the response as I got was failure. And I'm talking about maybe, I think probably we're close to 300 responses right now. So the poll size is robust in terms of significance. So you will learn more from the mistakes, actually, not from the failure. Some people said from both, provided that you reflect.
Yeah, so I was actually, as you posed that question, thought to myself, but I also learn when things go well, when I succeed. Yeah. I think you just need to be cognizant of what you do around you, but embrace the failure. Like yesterday, I was mentoring someone who actually told me she wants to do a business venture, but is afraid of failing. And I told her it's not a failing, it's a learning. So a couple of questions have come in. The first question comes from Kumail, who asked, what do you think are the best businesses to start in the year 2020 and 2022?
2020, we finished.
Yeah, I'm guessing right now, what are the best businesses to start?
I think this is a very tough question to answer. Any business could be a good business, provided that you address a customer pain point. And you know, you will find out probably some of the best businesses are not new. They are just picking up something existing, and there is a pain point, and they are addressing that pain point. So I'm not saying, you know, go all, I mean, although we are talking, you know, in the fintech, you know, space right now, and I presume that all attendees are into fintechs, There are many spaces to disrupt. Whether, I mean, I'm probably in fintechs, and I've seen through research, the main one is about payments. But there are other areas in the financial, banking and financial services industry that needs to be disrupted, needs to be improved. Not only in the payments side, the regulatory side, the compliance side, the wealth management space, the operations, side of financial services, or there are many areas. So there is no, I don't think there is a specific area. It depends on the appetite and the need of the hour. I would say actually, sorry, Shireen, the payment industry right now for fintechs is overcrowded. You need to, to make headway there, it will take you a lot of time and effort and money and resources. I think you should focus on other areas, where, it will be appreciated. And there are no many players in that, like not in any industry.
For sure. Definitely the two largest privately held fintechs at the moment are payments related companies.
Yeah.
But perhaps something to share, it's just a personal tip. There's a newsletter I follow called The Hustle. What they do is they break out they break down for you trending businesses across various industries. I think it's a very interesting newsletter, and being entrepreneurial myself, I always read it and think, oh, that would make a very good business. So just in case the person asking is not fintech specific. So Mohammed, the next question says, across cultures and geographies, is good service the same everywhere?
No, it depends. It depends. Okay, some organizations define good service based on whatever they script in their service manual. It might not be the best service for you as a customer, but for them, they are sticking to whatever the the guidelines of that company is. And you see it more probably in the West more than the East. I mean, we all know that if you go to a country like, for instance, Thailand, they are a very welcoming, hospitable nation. Even if you go to the same, let's say, if you go pick a chain, hotel, the same hotel will probably give you a different experience if you stay in Thailand versus vis-a-vis. I don't want to give another example, but pick up any other city in the Western Hemisphere, for instance. It is changing, so it all depends.
Cool. I also think that, by the way, Indian hospitality is amazing. Taj, best hotel I've stayed in.
Oh yes, one of the best. Yeah.
Yes. All right. The next question is a little personal. It says, Mr. Mohammed, can you share why you kept changing companies and locations?
I think, okay, this is an interesting one. When it is difficult to wake up in the morning to go to work, this is the time where you should look for something else. And I, since it's a personal question, my star sign in Chinese is the monkey, and the monkey is very curious by design. So I'm always looking at the grass on the other side, and the glass that is half full. And it's a personal challenge. I want to challenge myself, doing something new, something different, to enrich myself and my experience. And as I said, it's always good to have this change. Change is always good. Actually, the only constant in life is change.
True.
And to answer you back, you keep learning by accumulating experience, by doing different things.
True. Mohammed, one last question. It's also personal, but we can end on that. It says, what is the greatest lesson you've learned in your life?
Oh, there are many lessons, actually. The greatest lesson. I think, if I can steal the quote of Steve Jobs, was it be humble, be curious, or be foolish and be curious, or something like that? Basically, Sorry, go ahead, Shireen.
Oh no, I was gonna say I haven't heard the quotes. It could be either.
Yeah, I think it's one of one of his speeches. Stay foolish, stay hungry. Okay, that's the one. That's what. By staying hungry for experiences, for learning, for doing different things, you will manage to do a lot in life, and you will reach to new places that you would not have thought for you personally it's possible. I think keep pushing yourself to do more and better. This is what I would advise anyone who asks me for an advice, is always keep pushing, because you learn more, and you learn more about yourself as well. And if you have any questions, you can contact the FinTech Hive. They have my contact details. Would be happy to answer any questions in more detail. I know it's 1 hour. It's very short time to explain and go through in detail of such a heavy topic, but would be happy to spend the time with whoever wants to hear more.